Invented more than 50 years ago, and ophthalmology has been the first field in which lasers have been used for both therapeutic as well as diagnostic purposes. Primarily because the ocular media, the cornea, the lens, and the vitreous are clear, and they allow for laser light to penetrate and effectively help us in the management of various conditions as well as the diagnosis of others. So the first medical application of lasers was in pan-retinal photocoagulation, and since then, its role has been ever evolving and still is the gold standard for the treatment of PDR. Now let's see how laser light is different from the ordinary light or the thermal radiation. Laser light has three features which differentiate it. Now, firstly, it is coherent. The photons are in the same phase. It is monochromatic, same color, and it is a collimated beam. This allows the laser beam to target the tissues with minimal or no collateral damage. Right, so as we've studied in our undergraduate level, a typical laser system involves three things: a gain medium such as ruby or Nd:YAG, a reflective optical cavity, and a mechanism that excites electrons to higher energy levels. So, what are the various laser tissue interactions? Different types of lasers applications depend on the different interactions of the laser energy with the tissue, depending on the interaction time and the power density. So, we have photothermal reactions, photochemical reactions, and photodisruptive reactions. Photothermal, again, the most well-known application of photothermal laser is photocoagulation, which is used in proliferative diabetic retinopathy as well as other neovascular conditions to control retinal ischemia. And photovaporization is less commonly used. It is that application is in the case of sclerostomies in laser. Carbon dioxide laser is used for that. So photochemical is, again, there are two types: photoradiation, for instance, in photodynamic therapy, where a photosensitive agent is injected intravenously, and then the tissue takes up the photosensitizing dye, and then a laser is used to generate cytotoxic chemicals, which free radicals, which then produce the desired laser effect on ablation. Photoablation has been used, it uses ultraviolet light, and for instance, the most commonly known application, and perhaps the only application, is excimer laser. Photodisruptive laser is where the laser is applied to target tissue, and which creates shock waves that cause photodisruption. For instance, the Nd:YAG laser capsulotomy. This is a brief overview of the various laser tissue interactions. Again, photothermal causes coagulation of proteins, which results in tissue burns, as in argon laser. Photoablation causes breakage of interatomic bonds, causes tissue etching, as is used in excimer laser to modify the corneal curvatures. Photoradiation generates cytotoxic free radicals, which are used to cause oxidative tissue damage, which is used in cases of photodynamic therapy. Photodisruption cuts the tissues, as in the case of Nd:YAG laser. Laser delivery systems, we have several laser delivery systems, including slit lamp, indirect ophthalmoscope, and endophotocoagulation. The most well-known of these is the slit lamp delivery system. However, indirect ophthalmoscope is also used, especially in cases of retinopathy of prematurity, to deliver laser to premature infants. And endophotocoagulation, of course, uses an endoplate during vitrectomy surgeries to deliver laser energy to the retina. Now, lasers are they have diagnostic as well as therapeutic uses. The most common diagnostic laser application is in the confocal scanning laser ophthalmoscope and the optical coherence tomography, which is useful in the diagnosis of various retinal pathologies as well as corneal disorders. Laser retinal Doppler flowmetry is also useful for evaluating optic nerve head perfusion, although it is less commonly used here. Right, so we have also, due to a combination of scanning laser ophthalmoscope and various computer processing techniques, scientists are now able to detect retinal fluorescence, which serves as an early warning sign for diagnosis of various conditions, including glaucoma as well as age-related macular degeneration. The therapeutic uses for laser include corneal lasers, which have primarily been used for refractive surgery, including LASIK, epi-LASIK, LASIK, as well as PRK. Plus, it is also used in phototherapeutic keratectomy for removal of small corneal irregularities and opacities. In glaucoma, its use is well known in cases of laser iridotomy as well as trabeculoplasty, cyclodiode treatment. In cataract surgery, laser has been used. Femtosecond laser is very common. Is not very commonly, however, it is being used for laser-assisted cataract surgery as well as anti-YAG laser is used post cataract for removal of opacity of the posterior capsule. Now, in retinal neovascularizations, you all know that in retinal neovascular diseases, it is used to eliminate retinal hypoxia and cause infarction of the retinal tissue so that VEGF is not released and neovascularization doesn't occur. Other uses in retinal pathologies include to sort of weld the retina around the retinal laser, around the retinal breaks in choroidal neovascular diseases, intraocular tumors, as well as anomalies of the retinal vessels where direct focal treatment can be useful, such as in retinal microaneurysms and Coats disease. Now, this is a brief overview of what we've just discussed, that diagnostic uses are primarily OCT and scanning laser ophthalmoscopy, whereas anterior segment therapeutic lasers are for refractive procedures, glaucoma, gonioplasty, peripheral iridotomy, laser trabeculoplasties, cataracts in femtosecond assisted cataract surgery, YAG capsulotomy, treatment of retinal ischemia, retinal breaks, retinal tumors. So now recently there has been the use of a technique which is known as photochemical tissue bonding, which is commonly being used by plastic surgeons, but however it has been recently they've started using it on rabbit eyes to treat corneal erosions and corneal damages caused by ACIs and trauma. It is less traumatic and the healing time is also quicker. So basically what happens is that amniotic membrane is stained with rose bengal and that is applied to the corneal tissue, and then it causes formation of linkages between the corneal tissue and the amniotic membrane, leading to faster and quicker healing. So they're still designing protocols for human use, and basic problem is avoiding damage to the retina during the procedure. So lastly, there is enormous research going on for use of lasers to using of adaptive optics and OCT for faster healing and earlier visual recovery so that patients can enjoy clear and comfortable vision for many more years. Thank you for your attention. Next, I would like to invite Professor Munira for her talk on laser applications.
Thank you, Dr. Femina. So my talk is on refractive lasers and its applications. First of all, thank you, Lahore Ophthalmo and Executives, as well as via organizers, including me as well. But still, my talk is on refractive laser. We will discuss something, pearls for the beginners. So I found it on net recently, and I thought to share it, that when we are gathered here to support each other, so that something good happens. So that's our basically purpose. So what's our target audience? Our target audience are learners, dreamers, जिनके लिए नींद शर्त नहीं ख्वाब देखने के लिए. Objectives हमारे हैं basics examiner की femto, guidelines for the beginner and to refine the skills of learned बैठे हमारे पास सामने जो करते हैं femto भी smile भी. So उनको अगर learn करना चाहें, I'm still learning from each of you. So this was one of my pick. ये प्री लेजिक है और ये पोस्ट लेजिक है, तो everybody wants कि हम ऐसे दिखें, तो why not to see the colors of life. So what's an excimer laser? Excimer laser is basically argon fluoride laser with a wavelength of 193 nanometer. The mechanism is, as Dr. Femina has told, that photoablation is highly controlled and precise, and the diameter is 0.68 millimeter, and it follows the Gaussian profile. So this is the refractive laser mechanism all described by Dr. Tamina, so I will skip it. Just brief thing that there is no very low influence to the surrounding tissue in photoablation and photodisruption. Photoablation means excimer and photodisruption means femto. So thermal interaction, I think Dr. Iram is a talk on this. So she will elaborate on that. So we all know what's PRK, what's LASIK. For PRK we can use to scrape off, we can use a blade, we can use weak alcohol, we can use transepithelial PRK as well. So what's the criteria for femtolasic? It's the universal criteria, but we can change slightly. For astigmatism up to -6, we can treat. For I don't go beyond 11 or 12, but FDA approved is around 14. And for hypermetropia, I don't go beyond 4, but recommended is up till 6. So patient selection, we should be thorough in that. Everything should be seen, that ocular review, systemic review, best possible refraction in hypermetropia, cyclopelagic refraction as well, thorough eye examination, corneal topography, and scotopic pupil evaluation as well. As you can see, these are the few points that we see in tomography, that your highest K should not exceed 47.2, what should be the astigmatism, what should be the eccentricity values. So as this is not my topic today, so anybody who wants to get some insight into this, if I can be of any help, I would love to do that. So this is my video with I Love Moria as well, and I do with NIDAC, Helsatome, XP, but at Liaquat National we have got this Moria. So can you play the video? थोड़ी सी साउंड चला दीजिएगा प्लीज, थोड़ी कर दीजिएगा. ये I am placing this keratome after 3 radial lines and meticulous cleaning of the lid margins, and then we should wet cornea at this time, and after that there is forward pass and reverse pass, and there is pressure of around 60 to 65 millimeter. So the patient was asked before that you don't have to worry for that. And now the flap is reflected, as you can see on the hinge. Moria makes nasal flaps, nasal side of hinge, and then a dry sponge is used to clean the stromal bed. And normally I am doing turbo guided nowadays and hybrid method. So I am just this pupil is getting registered. This Contora takes care of glare, it takes care of halos, as well as it's very good for higher order aberrations as well, and cyclodrosion as well. So in this system I'm using EX500, and there is neurotracking as well. So I'm now applying the laser. After the application of laser, as you can see, we are cleaning it with BSS, and after meticulous wash we will reflect back the flap. Now this is ironing, or you can say that excess fluid is taken out. Gentle massage is done with few strokes, and then you can use a slit lamp as well. There is in EX500 we have got a slit lamp to see any interface debris. So yes, so we end up with complications if we do a lot, and it's very common. The surgeon should know how to manage them. So complications with Contora, my life is better, that there are less wear and haze. This is, कोई बताएगा सेकंड में क्या है? POV वाले बच्चे, residents. ये क्या कुछ नजर आ रहा है? What is this? Idea? This is epithelial ingrowth. I did on my patient. She was engaged and getting to be married. फिर मेरे पास 9 साल बाद आए, and 2 बच्चों के साथ माशाल्लाह. लेकिन this was that I got. वजह ये थी कि after LASIK what she did was she rubbed the eye. So I had to take back her to theatre, and that refloated the flap. So at this time when she came with epithelial ingrowth, as it was encroaching the pupil. So what I did that I refloated the flap, I cleaned that epithelium, and then I applied mitomycin and I gave one stitch as well. I got this video, but because of shortage of time, I won't show it today. And these are few RBCs. And that patient, she had a cylinder as well. But now she comes to me and for follow-up sometimes after 2 years or 3 years, and she's, mashallah, very good. And these are few RBCs that we can get, but they normally spontaneously resolve. And this is, again, this one is interface debris. This is not my, this was referred to me, and I again refloated the flap. And this is dislocated flap. I got this in a patient of, where am I? I am forward. So I should go back. So this was the dislocated flap. It came, हमारे साथ हम जो गबल्ले मारते हैं कभी कभार जो कुदरत कर देती है वो हमारे normally जानने वालों के साथ करती है. तो this was my resident brother-in-law, and सब कुछ ठीक था, पर keratometry was very flat. So free flap, I ended up with free flap, and what I did was I applied BCL. Patient was fine. Asked him not to rub, not to rub, and not to rub. I said 3 times, not to rub. Emphasis होता है, खबूले की तरह, है ना? तो what I did, patient रात में आया 2 बजे. My resident called कि जी ये जो है ये फ्लैप, ये कॉन्टैक्ट लेंस यहाँ पड़ा हुआ है. उसको तो नहीं पता था. खैर, I went back, I went to लियाकत. मैंने उसको जब देखा तो कॉन्टैक्ट लेंस बिल्कुल सही मज़े से पड़ा हुआ था. नीचे ये डिस्लोकेटेड फ्लैप. फिर हमने इसको एक जार में रखा और नेक्स्ट डे व्हाट वी डिड एट 8 AM कि हमने इसको फ्लैप को अलाइन किया. अभी भी स्टिल स्लाइड मार्क्स थे. हमने उसको अलाइन करने के बाद, आयरनिंग करने के बाद व्हाट वी डिड, वी अप्लाइड 4 स्टिच. सो डोंट हेजिटेट, अप्लाई स्टिच रादर देन लीव इट. अभी हमारे पास रिसेंटली मेरे आने से पहले एक पेशेंट कहीं का आया और फ्लैप उसका पूरा हटा हुआ है और पता नहीं है कि फ्लैप का है. तो ये नहीं करना. अच्छा, this is a folded flap. This can happen. And this is DLK stage 2. I just used steroids, topical and oral, went away. Alhamdulillah, I have never found stage 4 DLK, but I've seen stage 4 DLK in one of my colleague patients. And then he went to graft. So you should be meticulous in everything. This is CTK. This CTK is central toxic keratopathy. And यहाँ पे जी patient हो जाना है, you don't have to do anything. It will resolve by itself. It takes time. 6 months you have to just counsel, counsel, and counsel. You should be a good counselor. And this one, this is interface debris, as you can see. But this is a micro strain, and it's there was no need to just elevate the flap, so it was fine. And this is one of my friends, and he sent me this. He's in US now, and ये macro strain है. इसके लिए you have to go and refloat the real complications. Infection rate 0.02%. लेकिन you should know कि भाई आपको refloat करना है, आपको culture लेना है. तो उस पर मुझे ये शेर याद आया कि हुई मुद्दत कि गालिब मर गया पर याद आता है. हुई मुद्दत कि गालिब मर गया पर याद आता है. वो एक बात पे कहना कि यूँ होता तो क्या होता, तो यूँ होता तो क्या होता हमें बताना चाहिए. ठीक है जी. ये फेमटो लेज़र है और फेमटो लेज़र बता चुकी हैं, इंफ्रारेड है, पूरा डिस्ट्रक्शन है. What it does, creates micropulses, a lot of micropulses. Cavitation bubbles are produced and they coalesce and they make a cleavage plane in the stroma. And it is used for creating glazing flaps, channels for ICRS and living laminar graft. So this is the cutting principle, impregnated cornea, and then gas bubble disrupts. As you can see, gas bubble is produced, it disrupts, and it stays in stroma or go out through canal. And this is again that slide, flap is lifted. So I will go to the video. I love to show videos better than pictures. So this is the patient. We ask them to see a ring of light. And इत्तेफाक से जहाँ मैं करती हूँ वहाँ पे ring of light बनी हुई है. तो मैं कहती हूँ ऐसे ही है, जो थोड़ा pressure आएगा. This pressure is less than what we do in kerato. ये आपने gentle pressure रखा, इस तरह से downward pressure दिया, ज़्यादा नहीं. And then what you do is docking start की. If you are good with joystick, हमने video games खेले खूब, तो आपके लिए मसला ही नहीं है. आपने जी जॉयस्टिक करना है, इसको सेंट्रेशन करनी है, एंड देन यू आर मूविंग योर जॉयस्टिक क्लॉकवाइज, एंड देन इट गोज, एक इंटरफेस होता है जो डिस्पोजेबल होता है, तो उसको हमने ख़त्म जी एक के बाद, तो हमने उसको कोन में डालना है, कोन है सक्शन रिंग का, और वो जो है वो आपका क्या कहते हैं इंटरफेस है। अब इट्स वी आर जस्ट डूइंग द सेंट्रेशन एट दिस मोमेंट, आई एम जस्ट डूइंग द सेंट्रेशन, पीपल सेंटर आपने करना है, ये हमारा असिस्टेंट करता है नॉर्मली, और इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है पीपल सेंट्रेशन में, बाकी तो हमने कस्टमाइज पहले करी थी। अब यहाँ पे दैट्स द पॉइंट कि आपको लेट गो करना है, लेट गो करना लोगों को मुश्किल लगता है, लेट इट गो, इट विल मेक द फ्लैप आपको डॉकिंग पूरी कंप्लीट कर देगा। अब आपने जी लेज़र पैडल पे रखना है और जी 100% कर देना है लेज़र, एंड देन यू आपने अनडॉकिंग की, आपने जी सक्शन में निकाल लिया, नाउ दिस इज द फ्लैप, वेरी गुड फ्लैप, made I made it just 1 week before coming over here, and then I am passing this spatula or flat lifter lacing flap elevator, and then it's I am breaking the tissue bridges, and then I am reflecting it back on the hinge. So I like to just double it up. It makes it moist as well. So now laser is being done, and then it's clean, and then it's reflected back. When doing laser, patient is asked to see the green flashing light, and then it's cleaned meticulously, and after that we will do ironing, we can do stream test later on, and we will use prednisolone acetate as well. So massage is being done, or we call it ironing normally, and then aligning the flap on these marks, prednisolone acetate and moxifloxacin is used. So what's the spot size? 5 microns. Standard deviation very accurate 3.4 microns. तो ये बड़ा स्मूथ और एक जैसा होता है फ्लैप। जो केराटोन का है वो थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे होगी थिकनेस। उसमें सबसे पहले केराटोन्स में मोरिया आता है, मोरिया के बाद हेंसेटोम आता है, हेंसेटोम के बाद नाइटिक आता है, तो केराटोन्स मुख्तलिफ यूज होते हैं। फ्लैप हिंज, आप फैक्टो में what you can do, you can place flap hinge, as you saw that I place it superiorly, you can place anywhere. I like superiorly, थोड़ा सा जब आँख की लिड मूव होती है तो ग्रेविटी की वजह से और आँख मूव ऐसे होने से आपके माइक्रोस्ट्राई नहीं रहते, तो एनाटॉमिकल पोजीशन बड़ी ज़बरदस्त बनती है। फ्लैप इसमें सबसे अच्छी बात है कि फ्लैप एज थिन एज 100 माइक्रॉन्स बना सकते हैं, तो इसी वजह से वी कैन करेक्ट हाई रिफ्रैक्टिव एरर। एडवांटेजेस I told all of this that high numbers. So an additional factor is that it decreases flap related complication, and it's applicable from lower keratometry readings to higher as well. So जो था मेरा रेजिडेंट का बिल, तो उसको अगर मैं फेमटो करती, जो ही डिडंट एग्री, लेकिन उसी वक्त फेमटो नया नया आया था, लोग डरे हुए थे, लेकिन आप उस कॉम्प्लिकेशन से आप फ्री फ्लैप से आप पढ़ सकते हैं। Then there is control over everything, control over thickness, control over hinge, control over diameter, or strong flap adherence, and there is lesser dry as well. You can see the reference. There is decreased epithelial growth as well. क्यों जी sharp cut होता है, cut को आप भी handle कर सकते हैं, IOP raises less, and loss of function. So this is the cons that we normally see. लेकिन ये cons आजकल इतने economic crisis में पूरी दुनिया में चल रहा है। इस कॉन्स को अगर हटा दें तो पॉसिबल कॉम्प्लिकेशंस क्या हो सकती हैं? These can be perioperative like suction loss, vertical gas breakthrough. Vertical gas breakthrough होती है कि गैस बाहर नहीं निकल सकी, जो गैस बबल फॉर्म हो रहे थे, तो वो आपकी एपिथेलियम की तरफ भी आ सकती है। तो मैंने जिंदगी में ये बहुत स्मॉल देखा है, कभी मैंने परफोरेटेड में मुझे नहीं मिला। I found NTA chamber, gas bubble, opaque over layer, epithelial defect. This is the epithelial defect that I found. ये आपको नजर आ रहा है, और फ्लैप टेयर I didn't found in femto, and bleeding, yes. अब ये कॉन्टैक्ट लेंस बुक पहने में आपने 2 हफ्ते पहले भी कराया है, स्टॉक तब भी मिल सकते हैं। इंटरफेस डेब्री आप मेटिकुलस करें तो कोई मसला नहीं होता। तो पोस्ट ऑपरेटिव देयर आर फ्यू, इसके अलावा एनडीए चैम्बर गैस बबल बस मेरी लास्ट स्लाइड है, तो आई एम ऑन टाइम आई थिंक। तो दे कैन एंटर थ्रू श्लैम कैनाल एंड ट्रेबेकुलर मैशवर्क, एंड क्यों बनते हैं लार्ज फ्लैप्स, स्मॉल कॉर्नियास, या वी कॉल इट स्मॉल वाइट टू वाइट। स्मॉल वाइट टू वाइट में बन सकते हैं। इन्हें इसमें प्रॉब्लम क्या होता है, वी कांट फोकस जस्ट, हमें जी ट्रैकिंग नहीं मिलती, उसके लिए हमें वेट करना पड़ता है। मुझे 2 आइज में मिले, आई हैव टू वेट फॉर 1 आवर, तो आपका 1 घंटा चला जाता है, बाकी कुछ नहीं होता, दे डिसअपियर। एंड एनी क्वेश्चन यू कैन सेंड मी ओवर देयर और एट द एंड। थैंक यू। ये डॉक्टर हुआ आपके लिए खास तौर पे कि वी शुड नॉट ऑब्स्ट्रक्ट द लाइट। ये बच्चा अलाउ कर रहा है लाइट टू स्कैटर, तो इस वक्त हम जमा भी इसलिए हुए हैं। थैंक यू जी।
इसका प्लीज केयर करते हुए स्पेशली फॉर मी, am I obstructing the light or
Oh
am I lighting
no
the
no
light?
no, you are spreading the light. Everybody knows that, so I didn't tell that.
Thank you so much. लेकिन आपसे 2 सवाल कर सकती हूँ?
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
Just 2 minutes. एक, this is for the residents that I wanted to ask. One, when you were doing the LASIK, in that you made the flap, and in that flap you, one was folded, you explained that. The second thing is that different machines have a different docking system. Some you know, you said you can hold it, vacuum and leave it. In some you can't. Sometimes you have to hold it. I think so that is based on different machines that you can, some machines you can just dock and leave it. So it will create its own vacuum, but in some you actually have to hold it. So maintain that. You folded your flap. One, why? And second, do you have to save the flap, because sometimes when we're doing docking, the technicians now they tell you to cover the flap, protect the flap. So how true is that, and how much of the flap do you have to protect or cover while you applying the laser?
तो why
And third question मैं कर सकती हूँ, कितनी ablation आपको कर सकते हैं? How much ablation will improve the diopteric power? Let's say 1 diopter of ablation, how much ablation you have to do which will correct 1 diopter? That is for the residents. I think that is something that they would like to ask.
They should know because of limitation of time. लेकिन at the end मैं मौजूद हूँ कि आप खुद question कर सकते हैं. I love questions. So 3 questions. First question was, I think, कि flap fold क्यों किया? Flap fold I think I described in my presentation that उससे moist रहता है और आपको laser application में भी safe रहता है. Then you must have seen in my 2 videos that I was एक मैंने wet squeezed मेरोसेल स्पंज रखा हुआ था फ्लैप के ऊपर, so that when you are doing laser तो वो थोड़ा सा सेव रहे. अब मसला इसमें कंटूरा गाइडेड में ही होता है, आप बहुत ज़्यादा आगे ले जाते हैं फ्लैप बचाने के लिए तो वो रजिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ प्यूपल नहीं करता. तो इसलिए आप जितना रख सकें कि उसको फ्लैप को आप बचा सकें, तो इसलिए फोल्डेड मॉइस्ट रहता है और फोल्डेड पे आपको लेज़र एप्लीकेशन नहीं होती. दूसरी बात जो आपका क्वेश्चन था, आई थिंक कि कितने डायरेक्टर्स, इसमें थर्ड क्वेश्चन का पहले बता देती हूँ, सेकंड आई फॉरगॉट, सॉरी, यू हैव टू रिपीट. जो थर्ड क्वेश्चन था, 1 डायरेक्टर, मैं आई एम EX 500, तो जो थर्ड क्वेश्चन है आपका, तो 1 diopter 15 microns and I leave a proper 300 microns flat stroma. मैं 300 stroma religiously छोड़ती हूँ ताकि मुझे पोस्ट लेजिक एक्टेजिया 10-20 साल बाद उस बच्चे को, 20 साल का बच्चा कर रहे हैं, 40 साल का, 70 साल का, 100 साल का जीव, आपने एक्टेजिया नहीं करना. 300 नीचे छोड़ना है. आइडियल फ्लैप 110 120 का बनाना है. 100 बहुत मजबूरी में, शादी है बच्ची की और कर दें वाले में करते हैं हम 100 भी बना सकते हैं. बहुत से लोग बनाते ही 100 है फेमटो में, लेकिन जो हम उसमें बनाते हैं मोरिया में इट्स 130. मैं 90 वाला भी बना हमारे पास है, लेकिन आई डोंट प्रेफर 90 में आपको माइक्रो स्ट्राइक होने के चांसेस है. तो इट्स बेटर इफ यू गो 100 110 120, दैट इज बेटर. और ये क्वेश्चन
कर दिया आपने फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड का जवाब.
थैंक यू.
Thank you, Professor Munira, for a very enlightening talk. Professor Munira is the head of Ophthalmology Department at Liaquat National Hospital and is one of the pioneers of refractive laser surgery in Karachi. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Maria Nazish Maiman, Associate Professor at Liaquat University of Medical and Health Sciences, Jamshoro, for her talk on YAG laser and its applications.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Today's talk is YAG laser and its application. as we know that the laser is the laser light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. And when we talk about YAG, it is basically anti-YAG laser. Anti-YAG laser is the most commonly used laser in ophthalmology. So it is the solid state laser that uses a neodymium doped YAG crystal as the lasing medium. So it is optically pumped with a lamp. Here you pointed. It is either pumped through the flashlight or diode, and the most commonly emit in light in the infrared spectrum of about wavelength of 1064. So it is either pulsed or continuous laser. Slide B से होगी या slide B से okay. So either it is pulsed or in the continuous mode. The pulse and the YAG laser are typically Q switched to achieve high intensity pulses. High intensity of short duration, very short duration pulses, which can be frequently doubled to emit light at 532 nanometer. So this is the light tissue interaction as Dr. Tanveena already described. So when the light acts with the tissue, there are the few responses: photocoagulation, photoablation, photodisruption, and photochemical reaction. Basically, if it is the Q-switched mode of the anti-YAG laser, it works as a photodisruption. But if either it is continuous mode, continuous wave mode, or either it is double frequency, then it acts as a photocoagulation. जितनी इंडिकेशंस मैंने भी नेट पे YAG की पढ़ी है, मुझे नहीं पता थी कि इतनी इंडिकेशंस होती हैं YAG की, क्योंकि ज़्यादातर हम जो है वो कैप्सुलोटमी या LPI कर रहे होते हैं, most of the time. So there are numerous indications of the anti-YAG laser in ophthalmology, but for easy understanding, I just divide the indications in relation to the cornea, cataract surgery, glaucoma, and posterior segment pathology. So these are the indications in terms of cornea. It is also used in cases of recurrent corneal erosion syndromes, in cases of epithelial ingrowth after LASIK, and in cases of the cataract surgery, it is also used in cases of posterior capsular calcification, capsular block syndrome, capsular phimosis, if we want to remove the membrane and the synechies after cataract surgery, or in cases of the vitreous fix syndrome. So these are basically the indications in terms of glaucoma. We can use YAG in cases of subacute or acute endothelial glaucomas, in cases of primary and secondary open-angle glaucomas, in cases of late bladder failure following either trabeculectomy or non-penetrating glaucoma surgeries, or in cases of malignant and refractory glaucomas. And in cases of the posterior segment pathology, it is also used in cases of the premacular to clear the premacular subhyaloid hemorrhage, in cases of the laser vitreolysis, and in cases of PRP, in cases of diabetic, proliferative diabetic retinopathy. So I will discuss one by one the most common indications of the anti-YAG in ophthalmology. So it is also used in cases of recurrent corneal erosion syndrome, and it is one of the alternative to anterior stromal puncture with the needle, or epithelial debridement with a spatula, or either because in replacement of the superficial keratectomy with the diamond burr, or as a phototherapeutic keratectomy with an excimer laser. So there are few advantages. So मुनीरा जो है वो इसको ज़्यादा डिस्क्राइब कर सकती हैं कि क्या एडवांटेजेस हैं और क्यों हम इसको प्रेफर करते हैं कि नहीं करते. It does not require removal of the overlying loose epithelium. It is less painful, minimal risk of scarring, and the laser pulses of about 0.3 to 0.6 millijoules are applied in subepithelial or superficial stroma. Again, as Dr. Munira described very well, the epithelial ingrowth after LASIK, the ideal procedure is to just replace the flap, elevate the flap, remove the epithelial debris, and then apply mitomycin and then replace the flap again. But it can also be used in cases of epithelial ingrowth after LASIK. So this is the most common application of anti-YAG laser in ophthalmology, the posterior capsulotomy. We do in cases of posterior capsular thickening after cataract surgery. when there is visual impairment, and when if you can't see the fundus in cases of posterior segment pathology. So it is the Q switched mode with the wavelength of 1064 nanometer. We use capsulotomy lens, Abraham capsulotomy lens. We can do without this contact lens. But the advantage of this lens is to just stabilize the eyeball, just to keep the lids apart, and very short and brief shots. So the size of the capsulotomy should be about 4 to 5 millimeter, the size of the pupil in isotropic condition, to avoid problem at night. And these are complications such as IOL pitting, transient IOL elevation. So for the IOL pitting, you just make a proper fixation point. The नीली light जो होती है, तो सबसे पहले तो है वो आप periphery पे, you just focus at the periphery. विजुअल एक्सिस पे कभी भी फर्स्ट शॉट आप नहीं लगाएं, ताकि आपको पता हो कि आपने कहाँ पे किस लेवल पे वो नीली लाइट को रखना है, ताकि आपकी लेजर एप्लीकेशन वो जो है वो कैप्सूल पे ही हो, इट नॉट हिट द लेंस. The transient IOP elevation is common in all type of lasers. Either we go for trabeculoplasty, iridotomy, or capsulotomy. So we just have to put some anti-glaucoma medication pre-laser, 1 hour pre-laser, and immediately after laser, and check the intraocular pressure 1 to 2 hours after laser. Most commonly used medication is apraclonidine, but it is not available in Pakistan, so we can use beta blocker as well. Inflammation, cystoid macular edema. For the inflammation, we can give post-op anti-inflammatory medicines, steroids. We try to minimize the total energy. We just want to जो है वो आप एनर्जी जितना कम से कम यूज करेंगे ताकि आपकी जो है कैप्सूलोटमी अचीव हो. Otherwise you will, if energy power you use more than 80 millijoules, then there are increased chances of cystoid macular edema. IOL decentration, ज़्यादा बड़ी कैप्सूलोटमी बना दी, then this is IOL decentration and retinal detachment, especially in cases of high myopes patient. This is the capsular blocking syndrome. When you leave the viscoelastic substance in the bag, if you don't wash it properly, then there is retained viscoelastic in the capsular bag behind the intraocular lens, which pushes the iris, this intraocular lens anteriorly, and patient develop myopia, so there is a myopic shift. To just you open the posterior capsule, or either make in the anterior capsule just at the edge of the optic of the intraocular lens, to just release this trapped material in the bag. So this is pre-laser. The distance between the intraocular lens and the capsule is high, and after capsulotomy this is reduced, and definitely patient the refractive error will also reduce after that. Anterior capsulotomy or capsuloplasty is indicated in cases of anterior capsular phimosis syndrome. So it is indicated in cases of calcification and phimosis of the anterior capsule, and it is more common when we do small capsular rhexis, or in cases of pseudoexfoliation patient and in patients with retinitis pigmentosa. So again we apply the laser to make a radial cuts in the anterior capsule to slightly enlarge the opening. But we must be very careful not to pit the lens. We also use YAG in cases of inflammatory membrane. If the inflammatory membrane is not resolving with the topical and systemic medication and steroids, you can just apply a laser, small power short laser at the border of the pupil, just to detach this inflammatory membrane. तो ये कि बड़े आराम से वो membrane जो है वो आपकी absorb हो जाती है on topical medication. Or either there is a synapse formation between the iris and the remaining capsular rim, or with the lens. अच्छा, हम IOL polishing भी करते हैं. If after post-op uveitis there is a pigmentary debris in the visual axis on the intraocular lens, you just do the IOL polishing with the small power YAG laser. So these are we can do anterior vitrolisis after even full cataract surgery, if we penetrate the posterior capsule, there is rupture posterior capsule, there is vitreous prolapse, then the vitreous comes in the anterior chamber, trapped in the wound, and peak the pupil. So we can apply the laser over this iris strand to just detach, otherwise it can do the traction of the vitreous and suspect macular edema. Peripheral laser iridotomy. It is indicated in cases of the primary angle-cloyeur glaucoma, primary suspect angle-cloyeur, after acute angle-cloyeur glaucoma, and secondary angle-cloyeur glaucomas with pupillary block. And usually we prefer to do peripheral iridotomy from 1 to 11 o'clock just to avoid monoocular diplopia. The part of the iris which is covered with the upper lid is the location of the peripheral iridectomy. So again, the lens is used and the energy power we start from the 2 to 5 millijoules per shots, and the spot size is fixed. In every machine normally we have 50 micron and the duration is also fixed. So these are the complications as we have already discussed in cases of posterior capsulotomy. The common problem is the hemorrhage. इंट्रा प्रोसीजर हेमरेज आप यैग लेज़र कर रहे हैं और वो उस वक्त आयरस से ब्लीडिंग होना शुरू हो जाती है, तो डोंट वरी, पैनिक, जस्ट आप प्रेस करके रखें लेंस को, तो उससे इंट्राऑकुलर प्रेशर रेस होता है तो उसकी ब्लीडिंग जो है वो रुक जाती है. फिर आप अगर रुक गई है तो उसी वक्त लेज़र करें, अदरवाइज उसको फिर सेकेंड डे बुलाएं, उसको एंटी इन्फ्लेमेटरी मेडिसिन दें. यू कैन कॉल द पेशेंट एंड कंप्लीट द LPI on the next day. Selective laser trabeculoplasty. It is also indicated in primary or secondary open-angle glaucomas as a primary therapy, or either in patients with poor compliance, or if there is intolerance to medication. Sometimes anti-glaucoma medicines say allergic reaction hota hai, so patient can't use these medication for the longer period of time. और to avoid polypharmacy, 3-4 मेडिसिन पेशेंट डाल रहा है, उसको प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, वो नहीं डाल सकता, तो just you can do the selective laser trabeculoplasty just to reduce the number of drugs. The lens is used is rich trabeculoplasty lens. It is double frequency 532 nanometer wavelength Q-switch pulse laser. Energy is used is 0.8 millijoules, लेकिन इसकी रेंज जो है 0.3 to 1 millijoule आप यूज कर सकते हैं. तो start with the lower power, then slightly increase according to the requirement. Duration is 0.3 nanoseconds. About 50 to 100 shots are given over 180 to 360 trabecular method. So we just initially we do 180 degree, और जब हमें लगता है कि हमें desired pressure नहीं मिल रहा intraocular pressure, so we can go for again 180 degree, or you can repeat it because it is non-thermal, it is not destructive. You can repeat the laser. Laser goniopuncture. It is indicated in cases of late plaque failure following trabeculectomy, or in cases of the non-penetrating glaucoma surgery, for example in cases of deep sclerectomies. And it is Q-switched mode pulse. The power is 5 to 15 millijoules and 4 to 15 shots applied on semi-transparent trabeculodescent membrane. So sometimes there is obstruction or fibrosis of the जो आपने विंडो बनाई है स्क्लेरा में, डीप स्क्लेरा जो स्क्लेरोस्टोमी करते हैं उसमें आयरस इनकार्सरेशन हो जाती है या फाइब्रोसिस हो जाती है, तो ये जस्ट डू लेजर गोनियोपंक्चर. और आइदर अगर आपने नॉन पेनिट्रेटिंग ग्लोकोमा सर्जरी की है, फॉर एग्जांपल जैसे डीप स्क्लेरेक्टमी की है लेकिन आपको डिजायर्ड इंट्राओकुलर प्रेशर नहीं मिला है, तो यू कैन गो फॉर पेनिट्रेटिंग. दिस इज वन ऑफ द पेनिट्रेटिंग जिसमें आप ओपनिंग बना रहे हैं विद द हेल्प ऑफ द लेजर. Malignant glaucomas, aqueous misdirection syndrome, which is most commonly seen after any intraocular surgery, cataract surgery, after trabeculectomy, even after vitrectomy. So there is raised intraocular pressure in the posterior segment, then pushes the iris lens diaphragm, closure of the angle of anterior chamber, and then raised intraocular pressure. So you just disrupt the anterior highlight phase if the patient is pseudophakic, you just to go through the posterior capsulotomy, or either you go through the peripheral iridotomy. just to disrupt the anterior hyaloid phase to miss direct the aqueous into towards the anterior chamber. Transscleral cyclophotocoagulation is also one of the indication for YAG lasers, because normally we do a cycloablation with the help of the diode laser, but ND YAG can be used in the continuous wave mode, and this is in the infrared spectrum, so it penetrates the sclera 6 times more readily than the argon blue green laser. I think because of some complication, this is not routinely used. Again have a non-contact system and contact system. The only available machine is the Lazard micro rupture, which is for the non-contact system, and other one is the contact system. So in cases of non-contact system, we just similarly all the settings are same as we do capsulotomy. It is we use just a slit lamp, and spot size is about fixed, 70 micron, the duration is 20 per second, energy 4 to 8 joules, it is in the continuous mode, and about 28 to 32 applications are applied over 360 degree, about 1 to 1.5 millimeter from the limbus. This is just 2 slides more. Delivered via, this is the contact YAG laser. As we do with the diode, this is a similar fashion. We go for the contact anti-YAG laser, and this is a posterior hyaloidotomy. Just in cases of Valsalva retinopathy, we just drain this hemorrhage. You just apply the spots at the lower border of the hemorrhage to drain it out. So vitreous में जब आ जाता है तो it absorb rapidly and immediately vision improves. In cases of troublesome floaters, in cases of vitreous degeneration, you just apply the laser to dissolve these vitreous opacities. And these are the non-ophthalmic indications. It is also used in oncology, cosmetic medicine, in dentistry and military. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Maria. Next, we have a talk on argon and diode lasers and their application by Dr. Iram Raza, consultant ophthalmologist at Government University Hospital, Multan.
Good morning, girls and guys. Argon or the diode laser application is a very vast topic, but I will try to squeeze it as दरिया को पूरे में बंद करने की कोशिश करेंगे. I am Dr. Iram Raza, working as consultant ophthalmologist in Multan. Preventing blindness and restoring vision is the hallmark of our specialty, and it is one of the greatest success stories in the human mankind history. Retinal photocoagulation was the first ever medical application of the laser, and since then it has revolutionized the retinal therapeutics, imaging, and the retinal diagnostics. Laser, as already told, is the light amplification by the stimulated emission of the radiation, and the light which is emitted from the lasers is coherent, monochromatic, and collimated. The lasers are named after the active medium which they contain. To start with the history of this success story, the first ever successful laser application was made by Magyar in 1927. He tried to photocoagulate the human retina with the help of the sunlight. After that, xenon arc came into the, was discovered by the Meyers-Vickerath, then ruby crystal, organ bloom, which is very commonly widely applied nowadays, krypton, red laser, and the diode laser. The system of any laser, it contains three main portions. First one is the gain medium or the active medium. This is the medium from which the light of the specific frequency is emitted, and it is actually emitted with the help of the discharge lamp. You can see in the figure that the discharge lamp pumps the gain medium to emit the light of the specific frequency, and when this light is emitted, it is moves back and forth in between the two mirrors which are placed on the either side of the system, which result in the amplification of the light. This occurs in the optical cavity. There are the three important potentially absorbing ocular pigments. First one is the hemoglobin, which absorbs the blue, green and the yellow with the minimal red wavelength. Blue, green, autumn green works over here. Then next one is the xanthophyll. Xanthophyll is present in the plexiform layers in the macular area. And the xanthophyll, it has the specific absorption for the blue light. So the blue light should be avoided to be used in the macular area because it will lead to the macular scarring. Then next one is the melanin. The melanin is present in the retinal pigment epithelium and the choroid. The melanin is the main target for the lasers. When we talk about the lasers in the retina, it absorbs. It has very wide absorption range from the green, yellow, red, infrared wavelengths. PRP works over here. Here is the absorption spectrum. You can easily see that the melanin, it has the widest absorption spectrum from the blue, yellow, red, infrared. However, its maximum peak absorption is in the yellow range of the spectrum. And the xanthophyll has the maximum absorption in the blue, as I already mentioned. Organ laser is the gas laser. It emits 488 and 514 nanometer, which are relatively shorter wavelengths, but the newer machines are trying to eliminate the blue part of the organ laser because of the maculopathy which they can result in. So as a result, if we use with the green laser purely in the macular area, that will be safe. And these are the organ lasers are absorbed by the hemoglobin, melanin and other pigments. Width of the spectrum. The advantages of the organ laser is that it has a very wide width, very wide spectrum, and it has high output, high gain system with a very small divergence. However, it is low efficiency in terms of converting the electric power to the laser power, for which it needs a very big cavity to do. The next is the diode laser. It is a very compact, good laser containing the diodes of the gallium, aluminium and arsenide. It works on the principle of the stimulated emission. Its advantages are that it is the small volume, lightweight, good reliability, long service life and low power consumption, and it is also well absorbed by the melanin. The near to infrared make it more comfortable to be used because there are no flashes of the light, and that is not annoying for the patient. It has deeper penetration. It also helps in the laser for the retinopathy of the prematurity cases. The lasers have the photothermal effect. In the photothermal effect, when the laser is applied, it is absorbed by the melanosomes. The temperature of the melanosomes increases from 30 to 35 degrees, which results in the denaturation of the protein, and the denaturation of the protein leads to the coagulation of the photoreceptors. So as a result, the demand of the photoreceptors die, the demand of the oxygen is reduced, and the main focus and the main stimulus for the formation of the new vessels is reduced. Additionally, when it causes this, it also thins out the retina, and due to the thinning of the retina, the oxygen from the choroid, it also gains more and more access to the retina. So two things side by side, they help to reduce the neovascularization. Whenever we start the laser, we have to calibrate it according to the requirement. There is not specific anything that कि आपने retinopathy में मतलब एक जो चीज़ which is calibrated for the retinopathy वही specific होगा ट्यूमर के लिए. No, size, spot size, power, exposure time, सारी चीज़ें calibrate की जाएंगी according to our requirement, because most of the टाइम जो हमारी एप्लीकेशन होती है इन द डायबिटिक रेटिनोपैथी, इसलिए 200 टू 250 माइक्रॉन्स का जो एक स्पॉट साइज बताया जाता है उसको फेवर किया जाता है. देन इज द एनर्जी और द पावर एंड द एक्सपोजर टाइम. एक्सपोजर टाइम आई कीप इट 2.15. 3 delivery systems are in common use: slit lamp, biomicroscopy, लेज़र इनडायरेक्ट ऑप्थेल्मोस्कोप एंड एंडो लेज़र। स्लिट लैम्प का फ़ायदा ये है कि इट हैज़ द फिक्स्ड स्पॉट साइज, कैलिब्रेशन इज़ वेरी ईजी एंड इट इज़ easy to learn it earlier. But on the other hand, the laser indirect ophthalmoscope, it gives, although it gives wider field of the to apply, it gives better visualization, and in cases of the hazy media, it is very helpful. It is also helpful in the supine position, but focusing is a problem. Spot size standardization becomes difficult over here. It is expensive, uncooperative patients में use करना difficult होता है, and it has a very long learning curve. Endo laser जो है, it gives very easier access to the peripheral area than the non-operative sources. Let's understand the basic application. Whenever we apply the laser burns should be grayish white, not the pearly white, and also should not be just the gray. Gray means कि आपने just apply तो कर दिया अपनी आँखों के लिए, जी हमें laser apply कर लिया, लेकिन उसका फ़ायदा नहीं होता, वो अपना effect produce ही नहीं कर सकता। लेज़र एप्लीकेशन के जो बर्न्स का है 4 ग्रेड्स होते हैं, तो ग्रे वाइट जो 3rd ग्रेड है, यहाँ तक आपने लाजमी अप्लाई करना है, इससे कम में हम अपना टारगेट अचीव नहीं कर सकते। एंड बर्न शुड ऑल्सो बी द बर्न अपार्ट अप्लाई करें, शुड बी राउंड इन द शेप। अगर इनकी इरेगुलर शेप है, इट मीन्स द फोकसिंग इज नॉट प्रॉब्लम और देयर इज द कैटरेक्ट और द विट्रियस हेमरेज। एज अ रिजल्ट जो है आपका जो बर्न आएगा वो रेगुलर नहीं आएगा, राउंड नहीं आएगा। I usually apply the laser in 2 sessions with 2 weeks at least apart. In the first session, I apply it on the inferior retina and the nasal retina. उसका advantage क्या होता है कि if on the later days vitreous hemorrhage occur तो वो it settles down, but already हम तो वो area कर चुके होंगे. That's why we have the superior area जिसको मैं 2 weeks के बाद उसको laser apply करती हूँ. Then उनका 6 weeks के बाद follow up है. 6 weeks after the 6th week we find out कि either ये जो laser हमने apply की है it is successful or not successful. इसकी successful की main reason ये है कि it is the aggressive look of the retina reduces, the new vessels start to regressing, and the optic disc starts becoming paler. Laser applications. The organ and the diode laser are indicated in multiple conditions, but जो मैंने अपनी practice में मेरे 99% cases belong to the diabetic retinopathy or with very few contribution from the diabetic maculopathy as well. उसके अलावा जो है retinal laser retinopexy है around the retinal breaks, 2 contiguous rows of the burns वो मैं अप्लाई कर देती हूँ, लेकिन ये पेशेंट्स भी कम होते हैं। इनके अलावा रेटिनल वेन ऑक्लूजन है, ट्यूमर्स हैं, मैक्रो एन्यूरिज्म्स में एप्लीकेशंस हैं, ईल्स में, आरओपी में, ये बहुत कम नंबर ऑफ द पेशेंट होते हैं। किसी भी प्रोसीजर का like every procedure has some adverse event, so these are the commonly encountered adverse events in the laser application. The blurry vision, headache, floaters, and the macular edema are the transient adverse events. However, the permanent adverse events can also be there, which are the scotoma, foveal burns, reduced peripheral, and the night vision. Modes of application, pan-retinal photocoagulation as demonstrated by the ETTRS study के अगर आप ये apply करते हैं तो then we will be successful in reducing the 50% reduction of the moderate visual loss with the help of the PRP. In the grade laser क्या है कि grade laser में when the macular edema की कोई specific हमें target नहीं मिलता कि कहाँ से वो exudation हो रही है, in that case we apply the smaller feeble burns to the area of the macular edema with burn apart and very minute burns. अब इसमें हमने ना grayish white को नहीं रखना, ठीक है, इसमें हमने एप्लीकेशन विजिबल जो हमें विजिबल होगा वहाँ पे रखना है। अगर हम ज़्यादा कर देंगे तो ऑब्वियसली फिर वही बात है कि उसने वहाँ पे मतलब वो स्कारिंग क्रिएट कर देगा, बजाय ये कि अब ग्रेड में हमारा मकसद सिर्फ ये होता है कि एक तो हमने रेटिनल पंप को स्टिमुलेट करना है दूसरा ये है कि इसमें से प्रोलिफरेशन ऑफ दी जो सेल्स हैं ताकि वो उसका जो एक एडहेजन क्रिएट कर सकें वो करना है। हमने उसमें कोरियोरेटिनल स्कारिंग नहीं करनी है, तो दैट्स वाई प्लीज जो पीआरपी का टाइट्रेशन है, कैलिब्रेशन है, वो यहाँ पे काम नहीं करेगी, हमें सॉफ्टवेयर कैलिब्रेशन रखनी पड़ेगी यहाँ पर। नेक्स्ट इज द फोकल। मैं ग्रेड भी बहुत कम अप्लाई करती हूँ, पीआरपी और फोकल। फोकल कॉमनली अप्लाई करती हूँ वेयर एवर जो कि हमारे पास एक माइक्रो एन्यूरिज्म है, जो कि लीकिंग माइक्रो एन्यूरिज्म्स है, उनमें उसमें भी सिमिलर टू द ग्रेड के फीबल बर्न्स आपने अप्लाई करना है। एंड देन इज द ऑर्गन लेजर ट्रैपेक्युलोप्लास्टी। ऑर्गन लेजर ट्रैपेक्युलोप्लास्टी मैं नहीं करती, लेकिन ऑब्वियसली कि एक इसकी डायोड की एप्लीकेशन है, तो दैट्स वाई आई हैव मेंशन्ड इट ओवर हियर। What's new in the laser, Pascal navigational laser and the micropulse laser, ये just for the purpose है यहाँ पे, क्योंकि इसमें organ laser use नहीं होती, that's why I'm not describing it in detail, and I'm very much thankful for your attention, and for any question you can email me. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hariom, for a wonderful presentation with very beautiful animations. Any questions from the house for any of the speakers?
एक क्वेश्चन मैं कर सकती हूँ डॉक्टर मारिया से। डॉक्टर मारिया, वेरी गुड प्रेजेंटेशन। जस्ट अ क्वेश्चन कि you were saying कि 80 millijoules मतलब should be our limit when we are doing this capsulotomy. So now some people are saying that even if we are doing after 6 months, so we can increase the power as well, and there are less chances of RD. So do you agree, or do you think still we should go for
Because
low
most
cost?
of the time when the twisted capsule is very thick, definitely we have to use the power more than 80 millis. Yes, we have to use, but biggest
पाकिस्तानी
वो हमारे पाकिस्तानी
और उसमें बड़ा
कैप्सूल भी बहुत थिक होता है और हमारी मशीन्स भी इतना काम नहीं कर रही होती हैं, स्पेशली गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में, तो यू हैव टू इंक्रीज द पावर। उसमें ये है कि प्रोफाइलेक्टिकली आप उसको पोस्ट ऑफ स्टेरॉइड दे दें, एसिड भी साथ में दे दें ताकि उसको और कोई कॉम्प्लिकेशन ना हो। रेटिनल detachment is just in cases of high myopia, the chances of retinal detachment increases. Normal patients में नहीं होता ये के बाद RD, लेकिन ये है कि high myopes में maybe the risk is increased. Thank you.
I just want to add a comment that when you're doing your lasers, one of being a retinal surgeon, laser, the YAG laser is used in the subhyaloid abrasion. It's a very, very good technique rather than going first straight towards surgery. I think we should always have a non-surgical approach. And if people, like everybody, I think most of the people have a YAG in their setup. So holding a YAG laser, holding on a YAG laser and with a lens, always try to do hyaluronic with it. It works, especially if the hemorrhage, if the patient comes like early to you. So the bleeding, you can make a small hole, the blood will come into the vitreous cavity, it gets cleared within 48 to 72 hours, and the patient is fine and they won't be even a retinal break, nothing. You just have to focus your pulse, your beam exactly on the hyaluronic. It works rather than doing a surgery. So surgery should be a second thing. Have a laser, you have a laser, it's the era of the lasers. Use as much as you can and stay away from surgery as much as you can where the retina is concerned.
Thank you, Dr. Huma.
I just have a question for Dr. Huma. Do you have any experience regarding cyclophotocoagulation with YAG? Because मुझे नहीं पता था, मैंने तो जब लिटरेचर सर्च किया तो पता चला कि अच्छा ये भी होता है इससे।
देखो डायोड का आजकल आ गया, माइक्रोपल्स डायोड एब्लेशन। I've done 3 or 4 patients and एक तो सर inflammatory glaucoma बच्ची थी, RA की patient, cataract, traps, everything done. Now she was only 19-20 year old. उसके लिए ट्रैप 2 फेल हो गया, अब वैल्व डालने का आखिर रह गया था। I was not, I mean maybe it was not the regular procedure, but I did a micropulse on her. And she's fine. She's on 2 medications, topical medications, and she's doing well. So I don't have a lot of experience, but yes, I have tried. और उसमें by the way inflammatory reaction कम होता है।
cyclophotocoagulation.
Yes, मैं उनसे कर थोड़ा सा कि YAG cyclophotocoagulation पहले होता था, लेकिन आजकल we are doing हम
Diode and micropulse.
diode micropulse कर रहे हैं। We have published a paper on that as well. और वी आर डूइंग इट, जैसे डॉक्टर हुमा ने कहा कि अभी एक बच्चा था जो मेरे पास, उसको मैंने रीडू ट्रैप किया, तो अब मेरा प्लान है कि मे बी अगर वो कहीं और से आया था, 2 ट्रैप हो चुके थे, आई वेंट फॉर ट्रैप इन MMC एंड प्लानिंग इज कि अगर नहीं होता तो आई डू वेल, लेकिन दूसरी आँख में देयर वाज नो चांस, सो आई वेंट फॉर MP3। तो हम उसमें 180 सेकंड्स करते हैं, 360 करते हैं, 270 करते हैं,
और इन्फ्लेमेशन नहीं होती,
और इन्फ्लेमेशन नहीं होती है,
इन्फ्लेमेशन नहीं है,
और हाइपोटनी भी नहीं है, देयर इज नो हाइपोटनी,
और हाइपोटनी भी नहीं।
मैडम लेकिन MP3 के अंदर रीडू करना पड़ता है, बार बार करना पड़ता है, उसका सेशन वो वेयर ऑफ हो जाता है आफ्टर लाइक 6 वीक्स 2 मंथ्स।
देखिए डायोड, ये साइमा अ गुड क्वेश्चन, जो डायोड हमारे पास ट्रांसक्लेरल TSPC था, उसमें थोड़ी पावर रिडक्शन आता है, उसमें भी रिपीट करना पड़ता है रोबस्ट में, न्यूवास्कुलर ग्लोकोमा, इस पे भी स्टडी हमारी PGO में, यू कैन सी।
या आई वेंट थ्रू योर आर्टिकल्स, लेकिन आपने एडल्ट पॉपुलेशन में
एडल्ट
किया हुआ है।
अब मैं चिल्ड्रन में कर रही हूँ, तो चिल्ड्रन हमारा जो ये है कि आपको परसेंटेज रिडक्शन थोड़ी कम है, इन्फ्लेमेशन नहीं, हाइपोटनी नहीं है, तो इसका अपना रोल है, वो करेंगे हम जब हाई IOP 50-60s में ये इतना काम नहीं करता, लेकिन रीडू उसमें भी है, रोबस्ट में, NVGs वगैरह में, यूवियाटिक में, इसमें ज़रा कम है, इसमें ज़रा ज़्यादा है, आपको दोबारा बार 6 महीने पे
लेकिन
साल
सेफर
में
है
करना
तो
पड़ेगा।
फिर कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, क्योंकि
एडवांटेज है ना कि इन्फ्लेमेशन
पैसे का मसला है बस।
आपको पेशेंट को अगर आप उसको स्टीरॉइड पे बाद में रख रहे हो तो उससे ग्लूकोमा वर्स भी हो सकता है। सो अब व्हेन यू डोंट हैव अ चांस, व्हेन यू डोंट, अपने NVG या तब वैल्स करें, वैल्स में अपने प्रॉब्लम से, स्पेशली इन अ चाइल्ड, आप पीडियाट्रिक एज देख लें या अर्ली टीन्स में या 20s में देख लें, देयर इज अ प्रॉब्लम व्हेन यू गो टू डू वैल्स, वो भी लाइफ टाइम के लिए। सो आपको जब ये माइक्रोपल्स आप कर रहे हैं, अगर आपको रिपीट करना 180 से शुरू कर लें, और बाद में यू हैव चांस फॉर 360 या बाद में कर लें। सो बट मैंने जितने किए हैं, मुझे अभी तक फिलहाल मे बी टचवुड, मे बी आई एम लकी, मुझे रिपीट करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ी। And you put them on 1 or 2 topical anti-glaucoma medications, then they're fine with it. But like Munira is saying, she has generated a paper. I have to do that. So मैं बहुत ज़्यादा बात नहीं कर सकती. I was just answering to the guy, say yes, I've done it, and उसके results अच्छे हैं, and I'm happy with this lasers. बट कि मेरा बस चले मैं लेजर पे चले जाऊँ rather than doing the trap.
मैडम आपने ड्यूटी साइकिल कितना यूज की? 31% यूज
31.3%।
You haven't changed it, you
नहीं।
tried different duties.
नहीं, जो उसकी उन्होंने दी हुई है,
हाँ,
उसी
वो
पे
तो
चल
उसमें
31.1 अच्छा रहता है ड्यूटी साइकिल, लेकिन आप उसमें 180 और 360 इस पे खेल सकते हैं, 270 इज गुड, तो आप इस पे खेल सकते हैं।
Sure. We have another question.
We have the facility of diode laser for ROP in our setup, so I try to avoid anti-VEGF in infants and I go for diode laser in type 1 ROP. So sometimes it's become difficult for me to do laser quite posteriorly. So anyone has the experience of doing diode laser for type 1 ROP, it's more posteriorly. Do we need cutting laser for that?
इसमें नाज़ली मेरा एक्सपीरियंस आई गो साइमा से भी हम लेंगे, साइमा का बड़ा एक्सपीरियंस, मुझसे ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस है इसमें, लेकिन आई यूज़ डायोड लेज़र फॉर ऑर्गन लेज़र फॉर दैट, ग्रीन लेज़र फॉर ROP केसेस, इनडायरेक्ट हमारे पास है LIU, आई यूज़ दैट। आपकी तरह आई डोंट लाइक एंटी-VEGF, सिवाय उनमें जिनमें हमें डेफर करना हो और हम किसी वजह से नहीं कर सकते, उनमें तो आप बगैर जिए के यू कैन अप्लाई एंटी-VEGF। लेकिन अभी बच्चों पे बहुत टाइम है, मतलब दे हैव टू लिव 100 years, और हम जो है, हमें कितनी स्टडीज़ हैं, हर स्टडी 10 साल बाद चेंज होती है कि नहीं ये स्टडी इसमें ज़्यादा बेहतर है, तो स्टिल आई गो फॉर द गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड एंड ग्रीन लेज़र, ज़बरदस्त रिजल्ट। स्क्लेरल डिप्रेशन करें, आर्गन मज़े से करें। Sama, you should have a comment on that as well.
See, the posterior pole disease, which is type 1, if it is like, if your zone 1 is not vascularized, I wouldn't go for laser. Because obviously if you're ablating half the macula, or in cases of AROP, then of course anti-VEGF works wonders. Laser, the trick here है कि you indent and then you laser the indented part. And उसके अंदर बच्चों के अंदर preemies के अंदर it's a very steep eye. So you know, जैसे हम side पे करते हैं ना थोड़ा dull 360 degree, you know. In previous you have to be like on top,
Yeah, on the top.
and then you know you just indent and you just keep ablating the
No,
indented area.
but it's very difficult to go very near to the posterior pole. Not posterior pole, away from the macula, because with time these laser burns they extend over time and they may involve the macula. But going posteriorly and indenting it at that time.
Posteriorly you don't need to indent. Posterior, you just need to have a
Posterior
very
तो
good
करना ही
diagonal
नहीं है।
pupil.
Why you are doing
Posterior
it?
नहीं करना बेटा, आपको जो है ना आपने रखना है उसको जो है ना इंटीरियर ही रखना है,
Bridge के
Bridge
interior
के
रखना है।
इंटीरियर रखना है। बहुत रेयर है कि कुछ लोग ब्रिज के थोड़ा सा पोस्टीरियर भी कर देते हैं, लेकिन अगर आपकी रिज अगर आपके जोन 2 में आ रहा है, ये तो सारी जोन 1 के सॉरी जोन 3 की बात करें, अगर आपको जोन 2 में आ रहा है तो फिर आई डोंट नो, मैं आई एम डूइंग एंटी-वीएजीएफ्स, इसलिए क्योंकि हॉस्पिटल टू हॉस्पिटल वेरी करता है, हमारे पास जीएम फैसिलिटीज बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं है। लेजर के लिए यू हैव टू बी हैव अ होल डे and then you have to have a GA facility, नहीं पता बच्चा जो मूव कर रहा होगा ना, you really have to stop every second, आपके पैरों के नीचे आपका लेजर वो पेडल है, अगर कोई और दबा रहा है, I don't know, I'm really scared on off करने के लिए, so you need the whole day, और ये बच्चे आ रहे होते हैं, so combination, yes, हमने तो combination भी की, हमने तो उसको separate भी किया और anti-VEGF किया, but मैंने जो चीज़ थोड़ी सी add कर दी कि if I have to give an anti-VEGF, मैं pediatric में बच्चे को भेज देती हूँ, they stay in peds for 24 hours. Because I can't send that child home giving an anti-VEGF. This I added on my own, and I was thinking that it worked because one child we did, and this laser के लिए नहीं करते, लेकिन दूसरा तो हम उसको भेज देते हैं. And I think we're off the. It is all about lasers and gone from there to somewhere else.
I'm doing lasers under topical anesthesia. I'm not.
That's fine, but you must you brave girl.
We are doing it in GM, हमारे पास ये फैसिलिटी पूरी टीम होती है,
Yeah,
ICU है, टीम है, बैकअप्स हैं। इसी तरह एरम की बात पे कि जो ग्रिड इन्होंने कहा, आजकल we are not doing grid, it's obsolete, why? तो वो एक्सटेंशन होती है, तो वहाँ पे तो हमें करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, we should leave that area. तो फिर आप इंडेंटेशन करें, बड़ा अच्छा रिजल्ट।
Let's please gather for a quick photograph before tea.
Thank you so much for all the audience for being here, and I hope it was a fun learning, and nice, great curve for you to learn. Thank you so much for coming here.